Greg, are you ready to talk about some shit?
I am. I got something on my mind today.
All right, well, let me tee it up for you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of Why You're Wrong with Gregg Dietz.
Um, so recently, via Twitch and other platforms, I've seen a resurgence in this argument that old games are better than new games, or that new games are better than old games, for various reasons. And this has always irritated the shit out of me because when you look at older games, there was a lot of restrictions, especially when you look at like NES, Super Nintendo. Less so Super Nintendo, just because you could say limitations due to graphical, boundaries, but realistically, by the time Super Nintendo came out, they were like just trying to do new things. Really, the boundary pusher was the N64, and then to further that the Wii and whatever. Or the PlayStation, like PlayStation 2, not as much, but PlayStation 2 for sure. But regardless, classic games, old school games, they had they had limitations, so you can only do certain things. So like let's take Resident Evil for example. The first three Resident Evil games, I guess you can throw Code Veronica in there as well, had to be static camera with tank controls because of what was limiting on the PlayStation as a whole. But what irritates me is a lot of people will sit there and say tank controls suck. Okay, tank controls don't suck. Here's what sucks is when you misunderstand how the game was developed around the tank controls. When I play Resident Evil 2, the remake that just came out, I have more control of Leon. You don't get to play as Claire in the trailer or the demo. But I have more control of Leon. I'm able to aim and fire. It's all over the shoulder. But I did notice them doing something clever, and that was still make it feel like a horror, like a survival horror game with limited ammo, and it becomes a little harder to aim when you are being attacked. Like Leon just kind of like he aims a little bit quicker. Okay, that's clever. I appreciate that. But think back to why the tank controls were scary, or what made what made those games scary with the tank controls. They were hard to use. So trying to get your character in position to shoot the zombies was scary and it was anxiety inducing in its own right. They designed the game around that. So you can't say tank controls are bad. That's not a fair statement. I would argue that they're bad in Mega Man Legends. But even then, that's, like, the game's designed around that. Like, you're not fighting a shit ton of enemies, or it's in a hallway where you just aim down the hallway. But I digress. I'm talking about tank controls as a whole. I'm talking about this idea that if you liked a classic game and new games don't do this thing, that therefore new games suck. And the inverse is there. If new games do these great things, which means old games suck. No. Games suck or they don't. Like just straight up. And to insinuate that a game sucks because of something in the past or something in the present is nonsense to me. I'll give you an example of a game that ruled when we were kids, but is definitely harder to play now, and that's GoldenEye 64. I don't personally feel that game aged very well because of one reason. The single stick shooter to the dual stick shooter that we deal with now. Everyone is used to using two joysticks to aim and move and all that kind of junk in every single shooter on console. In the GoldenEye, you used one stick, which meant to turn, you had to stop and just hit left or right, which basically was kind of like tank controls, and your cursor would automatically aim. That is really, really hard to adjust to when you're playing modern games. So, unless you're used to it, it doesn't feel right. Does it suck? No, it doesn't suck. It doesn't suck. It just is hard to play. And I see this time and time and time again, dude. Like, it fucking irritates me to no end. I'm just like, you're being a fucking idiot. Like, you're being straight up a moron. Just a maroon, if they say, well, that's a color. You're just being an idiot. You sound stupid when you say shit like that. When you tell someone who's playing a game on stream, oh, this game sucks because it doesn't do what I want. Like, fuck you. Who are you? Who are you to fucking say that shit? Like, yeah, I don't like Donkey Kong 64. I don't like collectathons. Does it mean the game fucking sucks? A little bit, yeah, probably. But no, I mean, that was a joke. Don't take me for verbatim. No, the game doesn't suck. The game is actually pretty well rounded, pretty well made, but for somebody like me who didn't play it back then and tries to play it now, it's rough as hell. Same for Banjo-Kazooie. Like, thank God they re-released it on Xbox with that control scheme in mind, because like the newer version is way easier to play. I hate seeing that. I hate seeing this idea that, like, oh, if it's not from a certain specific era, then I don't want to play it, because video games back then just let you play it. You saw a couple cutscenes maybe and you were right into the game. Nowadays it takes forever. It's like, so fucking enjoy the game. Enjoy what you're seeing. Don't just sit there and go like, oh, I don't want to watch my video game. I want to play it. Oh, you're cool, pretentious douche. It fucking drives me nuts, man. Like, games, past or present, suck or they don't. They don't suck because of something else. They suck or they don't. Plain and simple. Judge games based on its own merit. Quit fucking comparing them. That. Ugh. So I guess in summation, when you compare or when you say something sucks because of the past or the present,